So let's get right into it. Is the radiation from 5G technology actually dangerous? I mean, there is a lot of fear out there. But you know what? Instead of getting caught up in all that, we're going to look at the facts. Specifically, the fundamental laws of physics that, well, run the entire universe. Let's dive in. You've probably seen these online, right? These special stickers, little gadgets, all claiming to protect you from what they call 5G death rays. The marketing is designed to be pretty scary, linking this stuff to everything from headaches to, much worse. But is there actually any science to back this up? Look, those fears are real for a lot of people. But here's the thing, the universe doesn't operate on fear. It operates on strict, unforgiving physical laws. So today, we're just going to set aside all those scary headlines and answer the question using the core principles of physics itself. Okay, before we can even begin to talk about 5G, we have to get on the same page about one very important and super misunderstood word: radiation. For so many of us, it just conjures up these images of nuclear fallout, of disaster. But scientifically, it's something much, much simpler. Yep, that's the entire definition. Seriously, it's just a word for energy moving from one point to another. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just a process. And once you really get that simple definition, you start to see that it's absolutely everywhere. I mean, think about it. The light that you're using to see this right now, that's radiation. The warmth you feel from a cozy fire, that's infrared radiation. The signal bringing music to your car radio, you guessed it, radiation. Even your own body is constantly giving off heat as infrared radiation. It's just a fundamental part of our world. So this here is the electromagnetic spectrum. It basically organizes all radiation by its energy level. If you look way over on the far left, you see the really low energy waves, like radio signals. As you move to the right, the energy gets higher. You go through visible light, all the way up to really dangerous stuff like X-rays and gamma rays. Now, where's 5G? It's way, way down here on the low energy end of things, right in the same neighborhood as your Wi-Fi. So if some radiation is totally harmless and some is clearly dangerous, what's the dividing line? Well, it turns out there's a very clear rule in physics that separates the two, and it's pretty much the single most important thing to understand for this whole topic. This right here is the crucial point. The only way radiation can cause the kind of harm we worry about, like cancer, is if it has enough raw power to physically break apart your molecules. This is called ionizing radiation because it literally knocks an electron clean off an atom. And when it does that, it breaks the chemical bond that holds your DNA together. And listen, this isn't just a theory. It's governed by one of the most fundamental equations in all of physics, E equals hf. All it says is that the energy of a wave is tied directly to its frequency. That's it. A high-frequency wave has high energy. A low-frequency wave has low energy. There are zero exceptions to this rule. It's just how the universe works. And this analogy just illustrates the difference perfectly. An X-ray, with its super high frequency, acts like a tiny sniper bullet. It carries enough energy to slam into an atom and knock an electron loose, damaging your DNA. That's why we call it ionizing. But a 5G wave, with its very low frequency, it's more like a ping pong ball. It just doesn't have the energy to do any damage. It bounces right off. It is physically, mathematically incapable of ionizing an atom. It is non-ionizing. Now at this point, there's usually one big counter-argument that comes up. Someone will say, but wait a minute, my microwave oven uses non-ionizing microwaves to cook my food. So if 5G uses similar waves, couldn't it cook me? You know what? It's a fair question. And physics has a very clear answer for it. This is probably the most common myth. And it really comes from confusing two totally different things: the type of energy and the amount of energy. Go back to our analogy. Throwing 1,000 ping pong balls at a window isn't gonna break it, right? They just don't have the right kind of energy. But one single bullet will. The exact same principle applies here. And there's another crucial law of physics we need to talk about, the inverse square law. It sounds complicated, but it's a really simple rule that says a signal's power doesn't just fade as it travels, it drops off dramatically. So if you double your distance from the source, you only get hit with 1/4 of the power. It disappears fast. This slide really puts it all into perspective. Your microwave at home, it pumps about 1,000 watts of power into a tiny sealed metal box that's specifically designed to concentrate all that energy. A 5G tower, on the other hand, uses way less power, and it broadcasts that signal out over miles of open air. By the time that signal ever reaches you, the inverse square law has just crushed its intensity down to a microscopic level. In fact, studies show that the absolute maximum possible thermal effect from a 5G signal is a temperature increase of less than 1 degree, and that's just on the very surface of your skin. And guess what? Your body's own cooling systems, like blood flow, get rid of that tiny bit of heat instantly. Honestly, you get a much bigger thermal effect just by stepping out into the sun. So let's just boil it all down. There are two simple, unbreakable rules of physics going on here. First, the energy rule. 5G waves are non-ionizing. They physically cannot break molecular bonds or damage your DNA. It's not possible. And second, the distance rule. The inverse square law guarantees their power is so spread out by the time it gets to you that any heating effect is basically zero. So when you actually look at the evidence, the conclusion becomes pretty clear. The fear that's been built up around 5G isn't based on scientific reality. It's really based on a misunderstanding of how energy and radiation actually work. So do you need to buy that special sticker to protect yourself? The laws of physics say absolutely not. The energy is the wrong type to cause harm, and the amount of it is way too small to have any real effect. So the next time you hear one of those scary claims about 5G, just remember the physics. Remember the difference between a ping pong ball and a sniper bullet. And choose evidence over fear.